But okay. I did allow the opening to play. I don't know if we're gonna get to the opening. I really hope that it doesn't get copyright strike. Otherwise, that wouldn't be so good. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll have to cut that out of my VOD or something. I don't think I got copyright strike before, though. Might have been muted on Twitch's side, though. Okay. When I opened it up the first time before I restarted it, the sky was like a very vibrant blue. Now it's a very not so vibrant gray. So I don't know why it changed, but it's different now. Matsuribayashi. At least let it end with a blissful dream. Festival accompanying chapter. The riddle you have been entrusted with solving now finally becomes unraveled. What must be done to stop the chain, and what will happen in the ultimate end? It's a showdown between the conclusion you reached and the one I reached. There is no difficulty. You should understand that now. I love Ryukishi. He's so cool. That is scary. Why did he include that? Why did he do that? Oh, everyone is entitled to happiness. The difficult part is accepting that. Everyone is entitled to happiness. I don't know if I was fulfilling that. I too am entitled to happiness. The difficult part is working out a compromise. Frederica Berncastle. I can't read that so fast. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual person or organization is entirely coincidental. The study was filled with piles of books and papers. In that study, there was a full-figured old man writing something at his desk in utmost concentration. There was also a little girl sorting out papers on the carpet. She almost looked as though she was playing with them, but the serious expression she was wearing made it clear that she wasn't. Is this Takano's backstory? Hello, Klaus! Hi! Thank you for the 30 stream watch streak! Can you believe this guy? You just missed the great Hinamizama massacre. I'm glad you just came now. Everyone who comes after what we just witnessed is blissfully unaware. Hopefully. Yeah, I hope you're doing good today. Grandpa, I'm done sorting them out. Thank you. Let's see, what happened? Look, there are lots of people with the same symptoms. It's way higher than the national average. That's exactly what I expected. There's an intriguing treatise? Did I say that correctly? Over here too. It discusses psychosurgery and civilization. It also predicts the existence of parasites that inhibit the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is what causes emotions. Need to watch the VOD then. Good luck! That's right. Emotions aren't created by the heart. They're just side effects of the chemicals secreted by the organ known as the brain. If parasites capable of acting on that organ did exist and spread to create a colony, then that colony's thoughts would be unified. So are parasites the cause of the spread of ideology? When ideologies clash, is that because different parasites are competing to expand their habitat? That, or to expand religion, to expand national borders, or to expand a race.
そういった人の思想に影響を及ぼす微細な生命体の存在にあると仮定している。
It's hypothesized that our differing cultural communities and their conflict are the result of parasites influencing human thoughts.
おじいちゃんと同じことを考えている人が外国にもいたんだね。
That's a lot to take in for a little kid. There are people in other countries who think the same thing as you, Grandpa.
もちろんいるとも。
Of course there are.
可視不可視を問わず、地球上には無数の生命体がいて、その中には宿主の体内に潜伏して共存し、時には宿主を支配したりすることが広く知られている。
There are countless parasites on this earth, and it's well known that some coexist with their hosts and some control their hosts.
そして実際に人体内にその存在をたくさん発見してもいる。
We've also discovered plenty of parasites that infect humans.
にもかかわらず、人体に潜伏し、その宿主を支配する生命体の存在については、頑なに否定してきた。
Yet despite that, we adamantly deny the possibility that parasites could infect humans and control their hosts.
家庭すらも含めてな。
Even the hypothesis of such a thing.
どうしてだろうね。
Why do you think that is?
人間だけ特別な存在のわけはないのに。
Humans aren't special in any way.
それを仮定することはすなわち、意志に基づいた言動や信念を疫学的原因から派生したものと置き換えられて、対処策もそれと同様とみなされる危険があるからだ。
Because that hypothesis would also mean changing our view to see the spread of ideologies from the perspective of epidemiology. Conflicts in ideology can be resolved through debate, then they're peaceful. Oh my god, I cannot read. I should be wearing my glasses, but I don't know where they are. But if those conflicts occur epidemically, they become frightening. And if one were to treat bad thoughts or the spread of culture as an epidemic?
中世の歴史に登場するペストなどを想像しなさい。
Think about the Black Plague in Europe during the Middle Ages.
悪い伝染病が大流行する。
A vile infectious disease
そ
spread.
の患者を強制的に入院させ、完治するまで退院させない。
They forced infected people into hospitals and didn't release them until they were completely recovered.
完治できず、そのまま病院で死んでしまうこともある。
You need to sleep. Thank you for being here though, Trace. I hope you had a good time and I hope that you can rest well. Have a good night. Some even died in those
する
hospitals.
と、その死体は焦燥となる。
They burned their
さ
corpses.
らに患者が触れたものまで衛生のため、すべて没収して焼き捨てる。
They confiscated and burned everything those patients touched for fear the plague infected it.
身近の家族にも感染の疑いがあるから、強制的に入院させねばならん。
They even suspected families of infection and forced them into hospitals. So they'd hospitalize healthy people over individual ideas?
思想を病気と置き換えなさい。
Replace an idea with a disease. The rest is the same.
完治するまで退院させない。触れたものは感染の疑いがあるからすべて焼き捨てる。家族にも感染の疑いがあるから強制入院。
Patients won't be released until they completely recover. People burn everything that may have been touched by the patient. They force the patient's family to go to the hospital.
でも思想なんて個人の自由なんでしょ。
People are free to think what they will, right?
ペストとは違う。
Thoughts aren't pests. If an idea was created by parasites, it would be exactly the same as a plague.
つまり思想は治療不可能な伝染病と置き換えられるわけだ。
In other words, an idea is like an incurable epidemic. So you mean anyone with a different idea is treated like they have a disease?
そういうことだ。
That's
こ
right.
の考えを延長すると、無差別、そして無秩序な大量虐殺が起こる。
If we bring this to its logical conclusion, parasites could be responsible for mass murders of people belonging to different races or religions.
そうすると、 人類は大規模な粛清を肯定してしまう論調になりかねん。
But this can be seen as justifying genocide.
だから脳内で宿主を支配する生命体を語ることは今の時代ではタブーになっているのだ。
Therefore, talking about parasites and brains has been taboo since the war.
タブーって？
What is this guy trying to say right now? And why is he telling that to Mio Takano? Why? Miyoko, whatever. Why is he saying all of this? What is he trying to do to her? I didn't think that he was actually like trying to indoctrinate her with like his weird shit, like the weird notebooks that he kept, but I feel like that actually might be the reality. What does taboo
触
mean?
れてはならない、考えてもならないということだな。
It means something that people shouldn't get involved with.
だから誰も研究せん。
That's why nobody researches these
いや
things.
それどころか脳内に侵入し影響を及ぼす存在がいると考えることすら忘れられている。
Nobody even remembers anything about parasites that live in the brain.
万物の長たる霊長類を支配する未知の生命体などいるはずがないと頭から決めつけている。
They assume that parasites which control humans simply don't exist.
なんだかお粗末な話。
That's almost
い
funny.
ないことの証明なんて悪魔の証明。
How can they prove something doesn't
絶
exist?
対に不可能なのに。
That's just impossible.
その通り、悪魔がいることを証明することはたやすい。
Exactly. Proving that the devil exists is
悪
easy.
魔を連れてくればいいのだからな。
You just have to show him to someone.
だが、いないことを証明することはできん。
But you can't prove he doesn't exist.
いないを連れてくることなどできんのだからな。
You can't show somebody something that doesn't exist. What am I listening to right now?
なんだか脳を支配する生命体が自分たちの存在を秘密にするためにその宿主の人間たちを操っているみたい。
It's almost as if the parasites in the brain are controlling people so that they can keep their own existence a secret. Me and my grandfather shared a happy laugh together.
人間も自然界の生き物の一つに過ぎん。
Humans are simply another animal in this natural world.
食物連鎖の頂点にいるだけで、それをもって神格化された存在であると思い込むなど愚かしいことなのだ。
We might be at the top of the food chain, but it's foolish to think that we are superior to others.
人とてあらゆる微生物やウイルスに支配されうるのだ。
Humans can be controlled by parasites.
その存在が今日まで発見されていないからといってそれをもって存在しないという証拠にはならん。
Just because the existence of such parasites hasn't been proven doesn't mean they don't exist.
絶対に存在する。必ず存在するのだ。
They exist. I know they do.
科学の世界にもたくさん存在が仮定されていて、そのずっと未来にそれが証明されたものがあるんだもんね。
That's happened before in the scientific world, right?
そうだ。それらの仮定をした科学者が全て生きているうちに評価を受けられたわけではない。
That's right. Not all scientists are recognized for their work while they're
世
alive.
まいごとだと呆れられ、その正しさを証明できなかった科学者も大勢いたのだ。
There were many who were ridiculed and couldn't prove their theories to be true.
おじいちゃんは生きているうちに証明されるといいね。
But Grandpa, I hope your theory will be recognized before you die.
じゃなかったらおじいちゃんがかわいそう。
Otherwise, it would be so sad.
大丈夫だよ。神様は努力する者を見捨てたりはしない。
Don't worry. God doesn't ignore people who work
努
hard.
力は必ずいつか結実するのだ。
Hard work always pays off in the
い
end.
つかってそれはいつ？
But when will that happen?
神がいつ降臨されるのかは誰も知らない。
Nobody knows when God is going to descend from
それ
heaven.
は例えるなら、泥棒がいつ訪れるのかわからないように。
Just like you never know when you'll be robbed.
だから、 予期せずしてその時を迎えて、
So we always have to be alert and
不
ready.
信心であったことに歯ぎしりすることがないよう常に目を覚ましていなさい。
So that we don't miss our chance. So is this why she killed an entire village? To prove that her grandfather was correct? That was something that my grandfather said all the time. Nobody knows when efforts will bear fruit, but it will happen one day. That's why you must always work hard so you have no regrets when the time comes. Your efforts will bear fruit someday. That's what he meant.
でもおじいちゃんが生きているうちに絶対に努力が実る？
But is it going to happen before you die?
生きてるうちに認められなかった科学者がたくさんいるのに？
Even though there were so many scientists whose work weren't recognized while they were still alive? It was such a cruel thing to say, but I didn't mean to be cruel. I had seen how hard my grandfather had been working, and I also knew he wouldn't live forever. I just wanted his work to gain recognition before he died. Do you know of the resurrection of Jesus Christ? We're learning today. Yeah. He was crucified and resurrected after 3 days. You told me about it. How do you think Jesus was resurrected? Didn't he just get up as if he was waking up in the morning? He was buried after his execution, so his body was in the ground. Did he break open the tombstone and crawl out like a zombie? No. That wouldn't be called a resurrection. The sinners who killed Jesus imagined exactly the same thing. Jesus predicted just before he was executed that he would come back to life after 3 days. The sinners buried Jesus, sealed his tomb, and posted guards to watch over it. But what Jesus meant wasn't that he would resurrect physically. He meant his teachings would be resurrected. After 3 days, Jesus' teachings were resurrected and people regained their belief. The hearts of those who wanted to be shown the proper way revived his teachings. That's what the resurrection of Jesus is all about. He came back to life in the hearts of his believers. Jesus doesn't physically exist on this earth, but he exists in people's hearts. In other words, that's when Jesus became an existence superior to humans.
たとえ死後であっても
That's so
正
fucked
当
up.
な評価を受けられたなら
Yet you did all that because of this. I can't believe that right now. Even if it's after the author's death,
その偉業は必ずやよみがえる。
as long as his work receives a fair evaluation, it will live again as a great
その
achievement.
時私の体が朽ち果ててしまっていても私の存在はよみがえって評価を受けるのだ。
Even if my body is gone by then, my life will return and receive
そ
recognition.
れはおじいちゃんが神様になったということ？
Does that mean you'll become a god just like Jesus did?
そうだよ。
Indeed.
私の研究はいつか必ず認められる。
My research will be recognized for what it is
そ
someday.
の時おじいちゃんは神様になれるということなんだよ。
That's when I will become a god. That's certainly a way to see things, sure.
だから自分が生きているうちに評価されることに焦る必要はないのだ。
That's why I'm not in a rush to achieve that recognition.
その時が訪れるのが私が生きているうちなのかそうでないのか
I don't know when that day will come.
それは神様にもわからない。
God doesn't know that either.
だがその日は必ず訪れる。
But the day will come.
だからその日の訪れを疑うことなくひたすらに努力を続けなくてはならないのだよ。
That's why I need to continue to work as hard as I can. It was very sad to hear my grandfather say that his life would end one day. He wasn't ill and he didn't only have a few years left to live. But set next to the average lifespan, his remaining years didn't look like much. The only person left in my life was my grandfather, so I didn't even want to consider what it would be like with him gone. Grandfather must have remembered that I didn't like to talk about that subject. With a tender smile, he gently patted my head.
もちろんおじいちゃんも自分が生きているうちに研究を認めてもらいたい。
Of course, I want my research to be recognized before I
だ
die.
から 精一杯頑張るよ。
I will do my best.
私もおじいちゃんが世界中の人に褒めてもらえるようにいっぱいいっぱいお手伝いする。
Yep, I'll do my best to help you too. I purposefully didn't mention the before you die part. I caught myself before I said it.
ありがとう。嬉しいぞ。
Thank you, that makes me very happy to hear. Grandfather smiled in satisfaction. His research wasn't exactly outrageous. He wasn't trying to uncover the mysteries of the universe. He was only searching for the possibility that parasites could be responsible for human behavior. Nothing more than that. Nothing outrageous. It really wasn't a wild idea. We even had some leads. Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone City, XX Prefecture. The villagers there are possessed by a powerful homesickness. When they are unable to return, they allegedly behave abnormally, as if they are cursed. There are also some bizarre rules in place in the village based on their belief system. When he was working with the military during the war, my grandfather noticed similarities between the people in Hinamizawa and assumed that some kind of existence was responsible for their odd behavior. He'd been researching it ever since then. In the middle of the 20th century, numerous strange diseases were discovered all over Japan. Most of them were caused by infectious parasites, and people started to pay attention to this forgotten field of study. Grandfather's research was simply one of those investigations into such diseases. Therefore, he believed it would be published amongst other research and attain recognition soon. But if his research didn't bear fruit before his death, I wanted to continue it. I wanted to continue his research. Grandfather taught me, resurrection isn't something that happens physically. It's when your life's work is appreciated. That's what he meant by resurrection. That's when he'll become a god. So when my grandfather dies, he'll still be with me forever. I wouldn't have to be alone ever again. I will always be with my grandpa. Our works will gain recognition, and we will both become gods, gaining eternal peace. Well, that's a goal. Hi, Yaya. I don't know if I would say that. It's an experience for sure. I will make my grandfather into a god. I will become a god. Therefore, we will be granted eternity. We'll be together, forever and ever. It's sweet, I guess. It's fucked up, but it's sweet, I suppose. I was looking at the key on a keychain. The key was labeled Hen House, but the lock Eriko was trying to open didn't belong to that door. It should have opened effortlessly. At least that's what was supposed to happen. But it didn't open. I noticed beads of sweat forming on Eriko's forehead. She was the one who came up with this idea. Eriko was starting to panic. The rest of us started to panic too. This only opens the hen house. Let's stop. Let's go back. Shush! We were supposed to be cleaning out the hen house. If they found us back here, if they found out why we were here and why we were trying to open the lock to that back door, then all four of us were sure to be sentenced to Splayed Piggy? The what? Don't panic, Eriko. That key opens this lock, right? You already tried it, right? Will you shut up for a minute? This is the right key. It's just hard to open, that's all. She was almost shrieking. Our hearts were pounding loudly. It was as though the sounds of our heartbeats were echoing throughout the hallway. And at that point, we heard footsteps that didn't belong to a child. Shush! Somebody's coming! The three of us held our breath, but Eriko didn't hear it. She kept fussing with the lock and the key, as if everything would be okay if she could just open the lock. Eriko, someone is coming! Be quiet! I know this is the right key. I'm not dreaming. I already tried and opened it. Come on, why isn't this working? When this lock is open, we can be happy and we can say goodbye to this hell. Eriko, someone's coming! Oh my god! The fucking explosion sounds! Yukishi really liked them. He really loves them. Okay, this is wild. I don't know what's happening. My father and mother died. I don't know exactly how old they were. I was too young to remember. They went shopping without me, and that must be why they were punished. It was a train accident. What a terrible disaster. A lot of people died in that accident. But maybe my father was one of the lucky ones. He was still alive when he arrived at the hospital, so he was able to share his final words with me. My mother died instantly.
お父さんお父さんお父さんお父さん
I didn't want to admit that this person I could hardly recognize was my father. As I called out to him, I hoped that it was someone else instead. But unfortunately, it was my father. Maybe I shouldn't have woken him, because when I woke him, he was reminded of the miserable agony that he had forgotten. He tried to move his right arm so he could pat my head, but his arm was wrapped in bandages and his hand was no longer there. What the hell happened with the train? I couldn't find his hand anywhere on the bed. I only had scary memories of his right hand. Its main job was to slap me when I did something bad, but I never wished it to be gone. Besides, that hand also patted my head, even though that only happened a few times. It was a big, warm hand and it stroked my head very gently. But no matter what good deeds I did, he could no longer rub my head. No, his hand was the least of his worries. He had to go into emergency surgery. Doctors already warned me that the chance of him surviving was very low. That was why I was allowed to see him, regardless of his condition. Not only could he no longer rub my head, he might be gone forever.
お父さん手術できっと良くなるよね
Daddy, the surgery will make you better, right?
お父さんきっと元気になれるよね
Daddy, you'll get better, right?
なれるよね
Right?
よく聞きなさい。お父さん、ダメかもしれない。
Listen carefully. Your daddy might not make it.
もしもお父さんが死んでも、お前はしっかり生きるんだよ。
Even if I die, you have to be strong, okay?
やだやだお父さんは元気になるよ
No, you'll get better.
お医者様がちゃんと手術してくれるもん
The doctor is going to make you better.
だから死んだりなんかしないんだよ
So you're not going to die. He was a stubborn and old-fashioned father. He believed endurance was a virtue, and he never complained about anything. That was why I couldn't believe he actually said he might not make it. I tried desperately to deny his words, but even that wish wouldn't prolong his life. My father, knowing his time was limited, tried to tell me some important things, but I interrupted his efforts by crying like a baby. I just wanted him to slap me, just like he used to do every time I cried like a baby. But he would never slap me again.
よく聞きなさい。
This is so messed up.
お父さんもお母さんも親類というものがいない。
Listen well, your mother and I lost both our families in the war.
だからお父さんが死んだらお前の世話をしてくれる人は誰もいない。
So after I'm dead, there won't be anyone left to take care of you. You didn't need to tell me that. My parents used to tell me that all the time, so I was aware of the fact. In other words, my father was the only relative I had left in this entire world.
もしもな、お父さんが死んだら高野先生を頼りなさい。
If I die, you can count on Dr. Takano.
高野ひふみ先生だよ。
Dr. Hifumi Takano.
言ってみなさい。
Can you say it?
高野ひふみ
Hifumi Takano.
そうだ。高野ひふみ先生だよ。
That's right, Dr. Hifumi Takano.
高野先生はお父さんの恩師なんだ。
He's my former
き
teacher.
っとお前を助け
He will help you. That's some aggressive coughing, holy.
お父さんお父さん
Many doctors came into the room in a hurry. He wanted to tell me something else, but the doctor stopped him from talking, so I wasn't able to hear him. I was kicked out of the room. I didn't know what to do. Nobody told me how my father was doing or when the surgery was going to start. And nobody told me that was going to be my last conversation I ever had with my father. I think I asked people at the government office about Dr. Takano. They'd asked me if I knew his phone number. I said I didn't, and they didn't ask me anything further. Sometimes they told me they'd look into it, but nothing led to anything. They couldn't find me a guardian, so I ended up going to an orphanage. At the time, there were plenty of orphans from the war, so although there were many orphanages around, they were all full. There were also some orphanages run by civilians. I was sent to one of those civilian orphanages. There was no profit to be had in taking in an orphan in the first place, so I thought those civilians who were running orphanages must have been very good people. I was sure they hoped that the children would grow in this loving environment and enter into society with a sense of gratitude. But reality isn't so kind. How many children in this world can actually express their gratitude towards their parents in the first place? Children are supposed to be nurtured by their parents' love. Therefore, when that environment is destroyed, their hearts are wounded. Every child has his or her own personality. Receiving affection doesn't guarantee that a child will become someone angelic. Not everyone's heart can be healed. That was why there were some problem kids at the orphanage. Maybe I shouldn't call them problem kids, though. The sadness and despair of losing their parents and the anger of having to hide such feelings filled those kids' hearts. Spending time individually with the children could have solved their problems. But at the orphanage none of the staff members even tried to spend time with them or put in an effort to understand them. All they could do was make sure that the kids followed the rules. Therefore, they could only see the children's emotional pleas for help as problems. In this world, nobody expresses love without expecting something in return. The person who founded that orphanage was expecting something in return as well. He wanted the children to appreciate him. That was why such a faint dream was destroyed by cruel reality. The children called the orphanage a prison, and nobody appreciated the staff at all. In fact, all they did was complain. That made the staff slowly realize that love alone couldn't run a facility like that. Just like how the children called it a prison, the staff started to recognize the facility as a prison too. It was a chain reaction resulting from mistrust on both sides. The staff bound the children with rules so they could suppress problem behavior. There was a framed picture of the founder of this orphanage, but I never had seen him in person. Was he satisfied with the fact that he put his own money into the social service? Or maybe he finally realized his dream of being surrounded by angelic children and being celebrated for what he did was simply that, a dream. I don't know. But there's one thing I'm certain of. Such a dream didn't exist at the orphanage. It's Monster all over again. I really have to get into Monster. I feel like I would really like it someday. There were so many rules and several plausible standards outlined for us, but the most valued one was silence. Children's chatter tends to increase each other's volume, just like mics drawing closer. Monster is so good. I know, I've heard such good things about it. I've yet to come across an orphanage that treats kids well in media. I haven't heard good things about them either. Like, I even had a friend in school who came from an orphanage, and yeah, the stories they told, not very pleasant. The manga's excellent. It's also set in Germany. I have to write it down. I think that is going on my to-buy list. Monster. I've written it down like multiple times, but I've always forgotten to get into it. Oh god, my nose is itchy. Oh! My grandma was in one as well, and she has hellish tales to tell. Oh my god. Yeah, like, I'm sure, like, back in the day, they were even worse. I mean, just look at all the movies that take place in an orphanage. They always portray such a hellish image. It's always bad. I don't think I've ever seen a story that it takes place in an orphanage be portrayed in a good light ever. It's always been bad, and what I've heard about it in like real life scenarios, also bad. It's not good. Sometimes that leads to fights and the disturbance of order. So children were forbidden from speaking with each other. Wow, that's a loving environment right there. With those disallowed, they must have thought things would go smoothly. However, I think I always heard people's voices at the orphanage. There were two kinds of voices. One was the staff yelling, and the other was the children crying. We were not allowed to walk around inside of the orphanage freely, so we never knew who it was that was crying. One time, along with the crying and yelling, we heard the noise of metallic things being smashed against each other. We knew it was some kind of punishment, but there was no way for us to even imagine what it was. We trembled, pretended we didn't hear anything, and kept working on our assignments. Metallic things being smashed against each other. What is that supposed to mean? I don't know if I want to know. One of my roommates told me it was the casket punishment, but she didn't tell me any further and I didn't want to know either. Are they like being put into like a metal chamber of sorts and they have like things hitting that to horrify them? I don't know. Even if we behaved exactly the same way as yesterday, if the staff were in a bad mood, they might pick on us. So even if I didn't want to know, I might suddenly find out what the casket punishment is one day. The footsteps of a staff member were getting closer. We noticed them, so we straightened our backs and pretended we were studying hard. It was more important that the staff saw us doing so than us actually getting any work done. I noticed the girl next to me was falling asleep, so I poked her with my elbow. She noticed my signal and straightened her back like the other children. It was almost evening. This was the hardest time for us to keep ourselves awake and the most dangerous time. The door to our room opened and a mean-looking man showed up, and he looked around to make sure none of us were falling asleep. Even if we were actually studying hard, if he thought we were asleep, we were out. They had to study until evening? Kids? What I assume are like under 10 years old? That was why we had to make sure we appeared to be studying very hard. The man walked around our desks. I hoped he would just walk by me. That was what we all prayed as we kept working on our homework. The more we pretended to study hard, the more we could hear the sound of metal objects. The sound of metal objects crashing into each other, along with screams. I couldn't even imagine what the poor subject of that punishment was going through. Maybe there was something even worse than the casket punishment. To erase such fears, we tried to concentrate even harder on our work. We kept working, as the metal sounds and the screams went on forever. What the fuck are they doing? I almost don't want to find out. The only time we were allowed to exchange words with our roommates was right after turning the lights off to go to bed. Being located in the middle of the mountains, the orphanage was very quiet at night. After making sure the staff members were far enough from our room, we enjoyed talking amongst ourselves. That was the only leisure time allowed to us. Though it wasn't anything nice like enjoying pleasant conversation. Why? Because we mostly talked about others behind their backs. We spoke of things like that member of staff is only strict or unfair or malicious towards this person, and so on. We just repeated those topics forever until someone couldn't keep themselves awake anymore. We even discussed how we could get back at the staff, and we took revenge on all of them in our imagination. Some kids even started to cry when talking about it, difficult as it was for us. Felt so fucked. Like, what the hell is splayed piggy? I don't want to know. Like, that sounds awful. That sounds so wrong on so many levels. Although the subjects we spoke of were negative, talking about them was the only way to vent our frustration, and even though we felt despair about tomorrow, we were able to fall asleep. But sometimes a different subject popped up. It was about the Yuri Gaoka house of love and mercy on the other side of the river. Yeah, over there, I hear they get not only nap time, but snack time too. Plus, the president is a very nice person. The House of Love and Mercy was a privately run orphanage, just like the one I was at, but it was a very kind facility, unlike ours. It seemed like a fantasy land compared to our current environment. A few years before, when this place was a lot worse, a few children tried to escape. It was hard to believe. There was a time when this orphanage was even worse to live at. Supposedly, 3 or 4 people tried to escape. I don't know the exact number though. They headed to the House of Love and Mercy. Their escape was a success. Except for one unlucky child, they were able to get to the property of the House of Love and Mercy. What? I guess the staff couldn't follow them into the other orphanage's property. In other words, the other facility's property had to be out of their jurisdiction. Wait, what? Except for one unlucky child, they were able to get to the property of the House of Love and Mercy. Unable? Maybe? This doesn't make sense, because that would mean all of them made it. It's always 3 or 4? Is it? The staff were frustrated that kids got away from them, and they dragged the one they caught back here. Okay, so they didn't make it. I'm sure they wanted to bring back the others who got away from them too. I'm certain the staff were determined not to let a single one escape. It was easy to see that determination in the obstinate way they locked the place up after that event. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is, that's what you mean. Okay, yeah. It is always those numbers for whatever reason. I don't know if Higurashi just likes them, or if it's like hinting at something. But they were never able to bring back the ones that got away. No matter how much the staff were mortified, they couldn't reclaim the children and punish them. In other words, if you could make it to the House of Love and Mercy, then you could escape the evil clutches of this hell. On the other hand, the one they caught went through such misery afterwards. Yet the exact details of how he was punished were never passed down. All that remained were ominous phrases left by those who knew him at the time. The drowned ducky, the mashed caterpillar, the splayed piggy. What does that mean? That sounds awful! I can't even imagine what kind of punishments they were. The only thing I can say is that those punishments were supposed to be far more harsh than the casket punishment, which was the most cruel punishment I knew at the time. I can only imagine how horrible those punishments were from their ominous names. The music is horrifying too. After that, the captured kid's wish came true, and he was able to leave the orphanage. Was he able to leave the orphanage safely and enjoy his freedom while breathing in fresh air under the blue sky? Well, according to the rumors, that wasn't what happened at all. While he was playing in the boiler room, he slipped and fell, injured his brain, and died. The children were instructed not to go into the boiler room after that incident. Everyone knew the boiler room was always locked. So everyone knew he was killed. And not just that, he was killed after being tortured. He was killed to teach the other children that they would face hell on Earth if they tried to escape. But those who faced that risk and made it out obtained ordinary, average lives full of love and mercy's namesake, which were far better conditions than we lived in here. Well, that's awesome. Age 173. Well, it still has a 3 in it. You know? Maybe the House of Love and Mercy was really heaven. Maybe all the orphanages are pretty much the same. But compared to my orphanage, I bet anything else would have been better. Even if someone escaped successfully, the police would catch him, and he'd be sent back to the orphanage, which would be pretty much the same as being killed. However, if he could reach the House of Love and Mercy, they'd take him in. They wouldn't send him back. By talking about escaping to the House of Love and Mercy, we were trying to forget how cruel reality was to us. And one day, the leader of our group, Eriko, said to us quietly, "Would you try to escape, if you had a chance to?" We didn't want to escape from here. It was a rather foolish question, but that wasn't what she meant. If there was a chance to escape, would you take that chance, knowing what you had to go through if you got caught? That was what she meant. Yeah, 3 is prominent. I'm trying to think what 3 means in Japanese, but it's not the death number, right? That's 4. Yeah, it's 4. So maybe there's no meaning behind the numbers. Not one of us could answer immediately. If the previous escape incident was a total success, then we might have thought differently. But after that, the orphanage had tightened up security to prevent runaways. It means Miyo, apparently. 3-4, like 34? Oh. They didn't explain this in the last chapter, but they also mentioned the, what did they call it? The Takano relaxation method? That was never explained. So, there's some things relating to her name and like her first name and her last name. All the doors and windows were locked heavily, and it wouldn't be at all easy to get out. Even if another group escape was planned, the success rate would be very low. I know it's related to her name, but I never fully understood how. Well, maybe they'll explain it in more detail. Who knows? Maybe it really is just 3 and 4. Manual meal? And the Takano relaxation method, whatever that is. We'll find out, hopefully. 3 escaped and 1 was caught before. Maybe 2 would be caught next time. No, maybe everyone would be. If I could, I'd want to escape. But the House of Love and Mercy is so far away. The bridge is long too. We'll all be caught before we even get there. Besides, we can't even go outside. Everything is locked up. There were locks all over the orphanage. To escape, you'd need a key for both the inside and the outside. And after the lights were turned off, even each section of the hallway was individually locked. Make no mistake, this was a prison. According to the rumors, orphanages receive government funding depending on the number of children they house. So, if anyone escapes, they lose money. And if you were to expose the conditions at the orphanage, they would end up being inspected, and things would get complicated for them. I wonder, like, if this other orphanage, the Love and Mercy orphanage, exists, why didn't they question children literally escaping from the other orphanage and running there for their life? Like, they must have told them, like, yo, that other place is hell. That's why they were so intent on keeping us locked up. Depending on the reading, so that would make sense somewhat. Okay, I see. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Sure, if there was a chance, I would want to escape. But realistically, there's no way we could. Every door is locked. Well, Tomomi, that name is familiar to me. Tomomi. I feel like I read that name when I saw that Rice was playing Higurashi Outbreak. Was it Tomomi Kimiyoshi? Tomomi Kimiyoshi? It was not. I'm making stuff up. That was not her name. I must have misremembered. I don't know why this name sounds so familiar to me. Well, did you know? The hen house in the courtyard uses the same key as the door to the back stairs. Eh? Really? Shh. Erika shushed us. Tomomi Monomi? Is that an actual name? I just looked it up. Nothing relevant came up. I guess maybe it is, but not in this context. Man, my Windows taskbar is constantly going over the game. I'm going insane. Sometimes mass-produced locks take the same key. Of course, most places use different types of locks, so this won't happen. But the staff at the orphanage must have overlooked it. So there were 2 locks that used the same key at the orphanage. However, most of us never had a chance to even touch the keys. But there were a few exceptions. One of those was the hen house. Each room group took turns taking care of different chores. If your group was assigned to clean the hen house, you'd have to get the key to it from the teacher's office. You were supposed to return the key immediately after you were done. But while taking care of the hen house, the key was in the children's hands. While the staff would occasionally come around to check, they couldn't keep an eye on us forever. Oh, you mean Monomi from Danganronpa, like the bunny? Also, I didn't know what that 4 is the unlucky death number. That makes sense too, because that symbol is death and also reads shi. Yeah. It's isn't it ichi ni san shi? And then shi means death. I think someone mentioned that when I played Silent Hill 3 as well. The translation was a bit wonky, but like one of the mysteries near the end you have to solve, and it says like, oh, it's the last number or the last letter or something, and it was mistranslated. It was supposed to like reference death or whatever, and the number was supposed to be 4. But I didn't understand the tip that they gave me because I didn't understand the wonky translation that they give in that game. So yeah, I'm guessing it made a lot more sense in Japanese. I think there was a different game that I played that also used the number 4. God, was it Corpse Party? I don't remember anymore. But yeah, a lot of Japanese games use that sometimes. Eriko-chan, you aren't thinking about using that key, are you? Let's not. It's too dangerous. Of course it's dangerous if there's only one of us, but it's different if we're in a group. Wait, why? Do you know why only one kid was caught last time they tried to escape? They were desperate. And so to escape as a group, they did something to increase the chance of success. That was why only one of them was caught. What did they do? They scattered as they ran. They dashed in different directions. They waited until the day when there were only a few people working at the orphanage and ran this way and that. And so, although it all depended on luck, it would increase the chance of success for sure. On your own, you'd probably have no hope, but if the staff were to chase after other children, then your own chance of escaping successfully would increase. In other words, Eriko was inviting us to escape with her. The more children joined, the more each of our chances would increase. But among us, there were children who tattled to the staff for their own benefit. So she had to be very careful about who she talked to. Eriko must have trusted us a lot. Oh, scary. Amogus. It's a sorta similar situation, I suppose. Eriko, me, Tomomi, and Kikuko. Kikuko. 4 children. Do any of you want to stay here a day longer? The 3 of us shook our heads, but at the same time, we couldn't agree to escape with her either. Of course we don't want to stay here a day longer, or even an hour longer. Even if we did exactly the same thing as we did yesterday, we might get yelled at tomorrow. I can't stand this anymore. I can't stand living in fear of what to do and what not to do, so I won't be yelled at. We all feel the same way. We could endure strict rules, but it was almost impossible to endure vague ones. It wasn't too much of a stretch to say that the rules depended on the mood of the staff. This is okay, that isn't okay. Such borderline rules change daily. And if you were to say anything about that, we would be treated horribly for it. I will escape, even if I have to do it alone. Like I said, the more people that join us, the better our chance. Think about it. If they find out about this henhouse key trick, they are sure to change the lock on the back door. In other words, we only have one chance. So even if you regret not joining in later, it'll be too late. But, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared too. If we get caught, we'll be killed. Tomomi and Kikuko weren't the only ones who felt afraid. The fear was perfectly understandable, because all of a sudden, the fear of the punishment that would follow had become very realistic. I'm sure Eriko felt the same way too. Her courage was suppressing her fear, and because of that, she shared her idea with us. So, do you plan to stay here forever? No way. I know you're scared, but this is the only chance we have. You have to be brave just this once. What about What about you, Miyoko? Don't you want to go with me? Unlike Tomomi and Kikuko, I wasn't trembling that much. Of course I was scared in my own way, but compared to the other 2, I must have appeared rather calm. Can we really escape? Of course, Iriko couldn't guarantee our success. Yo, Miyoko, let's go! But I had to ask her anyway. There's no guarantee, but if you join me, I'll have a better chance of escaping than trying to run on my own. Of course, the same goes for you too. Eriko gave a calculated reason, but I'm sure she just wanted a friend to agree with her. That was probably more important than her increasing her chances to escape. I've unlearned how to read. Yokasa. That makes no sense. That's just wrong. Tukasa. Tomomi, Kikuko, if you're too scared, then I won't force you. Miyako and I will escape ourselves. 2 is enough. Well... Eriko rushed the 2 to make up their minds. It almost looked cold, but that was her way of mustering their courage. Because it was very positive that, regardless of the outcome of our escape attempt, as our roommates, those 2 would be held responsible. It's not like we'll do it tomorrow. Our turn to take care of the hen house is in a week. We'll wait for the perfect time to do it. If we don't feel that it's safe, then we'll wait until our next turn. We'll be very careful. The rotation of the staff and the timing were important, but we also each had to know the way to the hen house. To the... what? I'm imagining words. To the House of Love and Mercy. They said that it was, like, across the river, right? We were planning to split up, so we had to know the area. I made up my mind. Okay, I'm coming with you. Let's time our escape very carefully, okay? Of course. We'll be killed if we got caught. I don't want to die. I'll come too. Me too, me too. Tomomi and Kikuko agreed, and so we all decided to escape as a group. We waited for the perfect opportunity. We waited for the day where only a few staff members were at the orphanage, and we decided to let God take care of the rest. Ah, it's open! Maybe it was the way I did it. Eriko tried to open the lock several times without success, but I got it open on the first attempt. The back door opened slowly, and we felt a cool breeze. This wasn't the world of freedom just yet. In fact, it was the exact opposite. If the staff were to find out we were here, we would be in big trouble. It was a world of danger. Wasn't there like a staff member coming towards them? But unless we went through that dangerous world, we wouldn't be able to go any further. Okay, let's go. I think Eriko wanted to say that. We were planning to leave with that as our cue. But what we heard instead wasn't Eriko's voice. Holy shit, that explosion sound scared me. Why, Ryukishi, stop doing this? My god. What are you kids doing there? We started to run. Well, that's good a cue as any. It was raining. We all got soaked immediately and our clothes stuck to our skin. That was a very loud rain. I have to tone it down a bit. Well, that would normally be very uncomfortable. We couldn't even stop to think about that. It was a good place to put that explosion. It was, but it scared me. That really scared me. Ugh. Imagine finishing Minagoroshi and having to wait 9-ish months until the final. Oh my god, I can't even imagine that. Or imagine it would be like today's age, where things take 3 years to be completed. We could only keep running in the rain. We were dashing on gravel, but it felt more like trudging through a muddy rice field. My feet kept sinking and I couldn't pull them up. I was frustrated because no matter how fast I tried to run, I wasn't gaining any speed. I felt a sense of urgency. I heard someone yelling, "Escape," behind me, and all I could do was run like crazy. Oh, okay, everyone go in different directions. Come on, scatter! With Eriko's cue, we all went in different ways, hoping they wouldn't be coming after us. Would we be able to reunite safely at the House of Love and Mercy? All 4 of us there together, and maybe someone would be missing. No, maybe everyone else would make it, and I'd be the only one who gets caught. My thoughts were interrupted by the voice of a staff member coming from behind me. No! Yeah, it was appropriate, but it killed me too. It was a good suspense moment though. I liked it. Even though I complained. Don't worry about it. It can still be good even if I complain. God, the voices are so quiet compared to the rain. Is there any way to change that? That's changing absolutely nothing. I guess we can up the voice volume. Hold it! Wait, hold it right there! The staff members should have numbered fewer than us. So if I was lucky, they wouldn't be coming after me. Praying that the staff voices I heard in the distance weren't after me, I looked back for a moment. Don't look back, just run. If I had time to turn around, why didn't I take another step forward? Why didn't I try to escape further? No. No, 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 no. Yeah, maybe it's music. As I turned around, I felt a huge hand cover my face. Its pinky finger slipped into my open mouth. The hand grabbing my face shoved me into the muddy gravel. Of course, I didn't stay quiet. I fought back, and then I saw his face. It was the scariest face I'd ever seen. I realized it immediately. He only wanted to capture me alive to use as an example. And considering what would happen to me afterwards, killing me here on the spot wouldn't pose any problem, would it? Yes, he looked at me with unworldly hate, ready to end my life here and now. His pinky finger ended up touching my tongue. The indescribable nasty taste sent an icky feeling throughout my whole body. Ah, that's it. This is what my murder tastes like. He was going to shove that finger down my windpipe and suffocate me. And so in order to live, I fought back in the only way I could. Bite it off! Get fucked, dude. I don't care. Something warm filled my mouth. I felt like swallowing blood after a nosebleed. I spit it from my mouth and ran without turning around, leaving behind the staff member clutching his pinky finger. Ha! Gone! It's gone! You little shit. Damn you! I'll kill you! I heard his roars echoing behind me. It wasn't a man that was after me. It was a beast. He had no interest in capturing me. His only goal was to see me dead. My shoes had slipped off. They weren't sneakers, so they came off easily while I was running like mad. This weather is horrible for an escape like this. My bare feet stuck to the gravel over and over. It was painful, but I didn't care. Because if I stopped, I knew what would happen to me. Tree branches cut my face and barbed wires scratched my thighs. My feet and toes were bloody from running on gravel. The blood from the staff member's pinky finger dripped down from my mouth, staining my chin and chest. I was running for my life, with scratches and cuts all over my body. If I were to get caught, I would be killed. If my pursuer heard any sense, then I would be killed after being tortured. But if he didn't, I would be killed on the spot. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be killed. My lungs and heart were about to explode. My mind was blank from fear and lack of oxygen. I was about to lose consciousness. I might have given in if I didn't hear the voice of the staff member coming after me. My knees were shaking. My legs wouldn't move properly. I felt like I was going to fall like a puppet with its strings cut. But I couldn't fall. I couldn't fall just yet. It was too late. My face had hit the gravel. Well, that's bad. I felt the awful sensation of falling, and immediately after, the roar of the beast coming from behind me. You know what this guy could do? Look for his finger, go to the hospital, and have it reattached, but no, he's chasing a child. For whatever reason. Damn you, my finger! My finger! Oh. I must have hit my thigh against the steering wheel when I jumped. I could feel the throbbing pain delayed slightly. I'm sweating all over. I wiped the sweat on my forehead and put my hand on my chest, only then realizing how fast my heart was beating. I rubbed my thigh. erupted in a straight line. That's not where I hit the steering wheel, but I feel like this is where it hurts. No, I wanted to see what happens. I can't see a scary beast in the moonlit car. I have my shoes on and I'm not covered in blood. That was a really nice transition. But that was crazy. I wanted to know what happens. I have dreams like these too. It's always the absolute worst. Sweating too. I've had nightmares where I was like stabbed or something, and then I would wake up with a throbbing pain where I was stabbed, and it's just awful. And because it's a nightmare, you know, you wake up drenched in sweat and you're feeling awful, your heart is racing, and there's no way you can go back to sleep after that. Yeah, those kinds of dreams suck. I have my shoes on and I'm not covered in blood. My toes are fine too. Someone knocked on the window, startling me.
Sansa, 時間です。
Major, it's time.
ありがとう。
Oh, thank you. I wanted to take a nap, so I told him to come wake me up in an hour. Maybe an hour was too long. Too long a nap actually makes you tired. I put my seat back up and got out of the car. The cool breeze feels good on my skin. I only see the moon. There's nothing else to see on this mountain trail. My car and a command vehicle disguised as a trailer are parked on the side of the street. I can still feel that bad taste in my mouth. I spat it out on the side of the street, but even that couldn't get rid of it. Taste of blood, saliva, and rain. Sweat from my forehead and raindrops got into my mouth, but I couldn't swallow, so I ended up drooling. That sensation around my lips brought back memories, and I tried to wipe my mouth. Maybe I'm nervous. That's why I had such a bad dream. I think there's a coffee machine in the command vehicle. An unpleasant cup of coffee will wake me up.
どう？何か動きは？
So, has anything happened yet?
いえ、何も。
No, not yet.
先ほど G 地区から定期連絡が。
We just got Gifu's scheduled check-in.
問題なしとのことです。
Everything is okay over there.
そう。ねえ、どなたかコーヒーを入れてくださらない？
I see. Hey, could someone make me a cup of coffee?
はい。ミルクと砂糖は？
Sure, cream and sugar.
ミルクだけ。
Just cream, please.
やっぱり砂糖も入れてくださる？
No, please put in some sugar too. I still have a bad taste in my mouth. The feeling of biting and crushing his little finger and his filthy blood filling my mouth. I'm sure a sweeter cup of coffee will wash down that bad taste and also wake me up from my nightmare completely. That's an opening to an episode. That was it? That was so short. Oh my goodness. That was really, really short. Holy. Did we get a tip? I didn't even see. I was so shocked that was it. I was so shocked. There's nothing. We got the achievement, the House of Love and Mercy. Experienced a memory of escape. So I'm guessing she somehow escaped? We don't know how, but she did, I assume. Of course she did, otherwise she wouldn't be here, maybe? Also, hello Sam! Hi, hope you're doing good. That was really good. That was a really good opening to the episode. We only have like 40 minutes left until I would have ended. I can't start a chapter and finish it. I kind of like finishing chapters in one stream, and I feel like this is a good point to stop playing so that I can do that again, because recently I've just been kind of playing and stopping in the middle of chapters, and I want to stop doing that because it's, I don't know, it feels kind of weird ending in suspenseful moments and stuff like that, so I think maybe if the others aren't as short as this one, it would be okay. That was really cool though. That was really, really good. Yeah, it was just the opening of the episode. But let's see. Who can I raid today? Let me see. We have Kobe. Kobe is playing Dispatch right now. She's very cool. We have never rated her before, but I like her. She also plays Silk Song. I don't know what else she's currently playing. Dispatch, obviously, but also Silk Song. I think she's a little bit further in Silk Song than I am, though. It kind of left us on a cliffhanger. I'm kind of mad that I didn't get to see the end of that chase scene, but it's okay. We'll get to see it eventually. Okay, let me start the raid, and yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. Yeah, I've been watching Mika play Dispatch every now and then, and it seems very cool. I don't know if I'll play it myself, not on stream. I'm very unsure. Maybe by myself. I haven't decided yet. It looks cool, but it's not something that I would usually play on stream. And the humor is a little bit weird sometimes. I'll think about it. It looks cool, but I also kind of spoiled myself on some stuff already. We'll see. Yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll be back on, what day is today? Friday? Sunday. With Paper Mario. Really excited for that too. Alright. Have fun, take care of yourself, and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye!